Hey guys, Allison here. Well, have you ever been through what I call a season of suffering, where it just seems like things happen one after another, tragedies, losses, challenges, and they seem to just come all together, like in the book of Job. I mean, many of us can relate to the book of Job. And maybe you're going through a period like that right now, or maybe you know somebody who is. Fulton Sheen, who I just love, said this: the tragedy of life is not that we suffer, but what we miss when we suffer. Got to really think about that. What do we miss when we suffer? When we're suffering, we can feel very helpless. We feel defeated. Sometimes we feel abandoned by God. Jesus did, right? My God, why have you forsaken me? So that's a common feeling that we have when we're suffering. But I would venture to guess that you had to muster strengths, virtues that you didn't know you had, or maybe you knew you had and you had to develop even more in response to the suffering. Now we know that God does not allow suffering unless he intends to bring a greater good. So if we think about what Sheen said, what are you missing when you suffer? Think about and maybe write it down. What are the strengths I had to muster or develop? Maybe I had to learn how to deal with the medical professionals. Maybe I needed to learn how to deal with insurance. Maybe I needed to deal with difficult family members. Whatever it was, maybe financially I had to learn a lot of new stuff financially to get out of a hole. Whatever it was or is, what are the strengths? Because I think when we do that, it is so empowering, especially when we look back and say, well, maybe I developed virtues. I became more compassionate. Maybe I became more patient. All right, maybe I became more resourceful. Maybe I stopped relying on other people and I grew up a lot because of the suffering that I was going through. So the tragedy is not what we suffer, but what we're missing. So I want to empower you if you're going through a period of suffering, if you've been through one, if you know somebody who is suffering right now, help them to see the strengths that they're developing. Help them to see maybe the people that came into your life that were helpful that you didn't expect. I always say when there's a big tragedy, look at the helpers. People line up to help one another. Now, of course, one of the sufferings could be that the people that you expected to be there for you betrayed you or abandoned you, and that could be very, very, very painful. And that might have made you have to go within and find those strengths. And maybe God allowed it for that purpose. We don't know, but we do know that God allows it for a purpose. Now, if you're going through a very tough time, reach out to a Catholic therapist who can help you to get it in perspective, to muster those strengths, to develop maybe skills to deal with what you're going through. But the period of suffering will abate usually. Again, if we look back, we can think, wow, that was a really hard time I went through. But life keeps moving on. Look at the strengths. Look at how God is maybe really kind of like purifying gold. I remember seeing that line in a book once. The same fire that consumes wood purifies gold. So think about that. So I hope you find that helpful. Again, if you're struggling, reach out. If you know somebody who's struggling, reach out to them. Let them know you're there, that you're praying for them. Sometimes, that expression, it drives you to your knees, might be the greatest thing that happens in your life when we suffer, because we turn to God and have a real relationship with him, right? That's the most important thing. So God bless you. May God help you through whatever it is you're going through, but have faith and trust and know he's bringing good from it. God bless you.